So just to give you a little backstory, on this last trip I took to Petroglyphs out in the Virginia Highlands in Nevada, I was supposed to be competing in Golden Gloves in Northern California. However, I ended up getting sick. I got the flu 3 weeks before I was supposed to fight. I was sick for about a week and a half, and my coach and I felt that it was best to pull out of the tournament. So the weekend of Golden Gloves, I got in my Jeep, and I went out into the middle of nowhere, out into the Petroglyphs, and I went out into the North Nevada desert to spend a little time by myself and to really just process.
Sketchy out here. That's where we're rolling.
This was my 5th trip out to these petroglyphs, and every time I go out there, it's I learn something new, or I discover something that I didn't see before. This trip wasn't as much about looking at the petroglyphs as it was about exploring around the area. One of the cool things about Northern Nevada, if anyone has been there, especially outside of Reno, is that there's all these wild Mustangs that run free, and they're absolutely beautiful. And that's probably one of the things I think I love the most is just seeing the wildlife out there, you know, these Mustangs just roaming free. And it's pretty amazing. Another thing about the petroglyphs there is that there's these rock walls. There's other theories that these were built by some of the Native American tribes used to corral animals for hunting, so they could pretty much control where they went.
One theory says Native Americans living in the area are responsible, but the local tribes typically didn't build walls. Another theory says it was built by a group of people called Lemurians who made it to California from the mythical island of Mu. A final, even more explosive theory is that the Chinese built them.
I don't have a personal theory yet on what I think that these are or who built them, but I will say that there's these lichens that are on the surface of these walls that were formed after the walls were built. And the question is, how old are these lichens?
Another thing that is just extremely mysterious about these petroglyphs, about these rock walls, and they go for miles. If you look all the way back, it goes all the way down the hill up to where those petroglyphs are. And these are old. I don't know how old this moss is on the rock, but you can tell they're old because you see this little, you can see the moss right here. When you remove this rock, there's no moss underneath it, you can see. So the moss was formed after the rock was actually built. Here's a bit better example. So you see this, boom, light underneath there. So these are old. I don't know how old these are, but these are not from the locals.
I decided this time to go and follow these walls. So I kind of went and I followed the yellow brick walls and went about a mile and a half. And what I discovered was pretty interesting. The walls led me to an area of these caves, these little caves that I had been seeing as I drove out, but I never had a chance to actually go and visit them. And as I looked inside these caves, they weren't that big, but I did notice that there was soot on the walls from fires. And that a long time ago, these people were having these campfires up here. And so it was just super, super interesting.
There's all these ancient campsites here. You see the soot on the wall from fires. Great little spot.
Archaeologists have dated these back to between 10 and 12,000 years ago, which means that these petroglyphs date back to the end of the Ice Age, the end of the Pleistocene. So you're dealing with people's markings from a world that doesn't exist anymore. These petroglyphs are a magical place. They are a magical place. When you go visit these sites, you put your hands on the walls and on the rocks, there's something that happens. And it's something that I can't really tell you. It's something you have to go and experience for yourself. Creating these videos is a way for me to share my experiences with you and to share the heritage, our heritage as Homo sapiens sapiens with you all, and say, hey, there's a much deeper story that we're not taught about who we are, about our origins. And there are things that need to be experienced in person and not read, but experienced. Because experience is what gives us the greatest value of our life. It's what gives us understanding. And if we use that understanding correctly, it's what creates wisdom. And those are the gifts that we pass on to the people that we love. And those are the gifts that make our future better. If you like this content, I want you to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to sharing with you more of my videos as I travel the world and discover ancient ruins.